It's got to make money right now. And things don't work that way. We spent at least 5 years on high fructose syrup before we start to make any money on it. And I'm sure it was that way with a lot of things like nylon and on those others. So there's something wrong, actually. The people with vision don't have enough power and influence to keep for a lot of these companies. That's my soapbox speech, but okay, where do we go now?
Well, going back to the 79 strike, did you notice any changes in kind of the overall mood of the community during the strike?
Well, it's hard to say. I think it was on the minds of a lot of people, but nothing was really. And I didn't have contact with a lot of the people, all those people that didn't have jobs. But I think I did. Yeah, it was not a good. It was just not a good experience for the community, because the Clinton Company was, I think, the largest employer in the city.
Yep, that's what we found.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a good. Since then, of course, ADM has taken over. They've been there for now, what, 25, 30 years. And they have really changed that whole facility. They bought more land. In fact, they bought the whole south part of Clinton. Now used to be all housing down there. When you drive by that, you have driven by it.
Yeah.
That whole north end of it, that didn't exist. And ADM, well, I wasn't given the opportunity to continue working there. Few of our people did. But afterwards, I was glad I didn't. It's my own personal opinion anyway, at that time anyway. There were more people culture than, if you were a very aggressive type person, you were going to do fine in that company. But if you weren't going to do too well. In a sense, afterwards, I was glad I didn't get the offer to even work there, because I got out and consulted for a couple of years and did very. But after a while, a consultant runs out of information, you know. And then it was about that time I got a job over here at Belvedere with a little firm called Technichem. They had been suppliers of ion exchange resins and equipment over at Clinton, so I knew them. And so I came here to work in late '84. Mm-hmm. And when I came here, I met my current wife. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's where were we?
Mm-hmm.
See.
I was just curious, how many people were in your research division?
Oh, golly. I'm going to say 50, 60 or something like that, 70 maybe. And that was in that area anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I had about half a dozen people in my group, I think, as I recall. And there were 4 groups. Yeah, there were probably 50, 60 people, something like that. Anyway. Yeah.
Would you say that was a lot of people to have in that time?
Well, for the size of our company, yes, I think it was, yeah. Yeah, actually, at that time, I didn't realize it, and I think most of our people didn't really even think about it in the research. We were the leaders in the industry, mm-hmm. as far as with the high fructose syrup. We got out there first. Yeah, it was a. Well, it was good. It was good 10 years, and a little bit more than that we worked on that thing. We spent a lot of time on it. Yeah, I know there are a number of other syrups which I spent some time on, but not anywhere near as much as that. Then they had a number of never made it. I still think there's someone that ought to should have made it, but yeah. The tech service people, the ones that went out to serve the customers technically, they were in the same building, but there weren't as many of those people. So. Yeah, okay. No.
I think as far as Clinton Corn, I think that's
Yeah.
all we have.
And then we just wanted to ask you about your experiences at Augustana.
Oh, well, it's some of the best times in my life. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed, those were good years. I was not in service. They threw me back. I guess they didn't think I would survive it. I probably wouldn't have, because if I had gone in, I would have been right in the bulge. So, and I had a good friend that wound up there. So I went back to school after being out a year. I started in 44, August 44. Got on 48. And majored in chemistry. And let's see, when I remember the first year, that was when J.P. Magnuson, I don't know if you ever heard of him or not. He was the only professor in the whole department. He was really an old Swede that really he was a character. I can remember once that, well, every week for our lab, he would have oral quizzes. He'd get 2 or 3 of the students together. I don't know if you do that or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd quiz us. I can remember there was a little Jewish fellow and a girl in mine, I don't remember her name or his, but they were stumbling around, and I can remember Magnuson saying, "Good God, you children have got to learn to think." Yeah, but I respected him. I liked him. Well, after that, I went on to Oklahoma A&M, which is now Oklahoma State, and got a master's. I don't know, I was getting kind of tired of school by then, so I quit there.
Who's that man that you usually talk about with Ron? You laugh about him, and he died not too many years ago.
Ron, that's, but he was the administrator of the hospital.
No, it was at Augie. I don't know if he was the head of the college then, or...
Oh, you're talking about Bergendorf?
Yes.
Oh, well, he was the president of the college when I was there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was a... Yeah. We had chapel every day. And most of the professors attended that too. I remember Magnuson was over there almost all the time. But Bergendorf, every spring, he gave a talk on the birds and the bees. And usually everybody went to that because I can't remember what we thought was kind of humorous. But he was a great president, yeah. And who else was down there? Well, they're all gone that you wouldn't remember any of them. So, trying to think, Eric. Let's see. Magnuson died when I was in their second year, and Erickson, Ed Erickson, came and took over and took the apartment, and Moab brought in an associate of his, Ed Hill. Yeah, and they ran the apartment. You know, they were the only ones there while I was till I finished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now they got a department so big that, as far as
Probably 10 or 12 professors.
yeah, there were only those two, I think. Yeah, that's all there were when I was there. But Magnuson had a son who did rather a lot of work in nuclear development, I think, during the war. Don't know what his name was, but yeah. But science is a lot of fun. And it kind of disturbs me that there's so much of the student population nowadays isn't going into that. We need a lot more science majors and engineers than what the schools are getting. And also find that even the population, I have a hard time finding anybody that I can talk to in the science area. Seems like most of them just going into business, or they make more money and a good share of them. But and actually, I have a son who's an MD, and I never encouraged him to go into a science where he's going to be working for a company or something like that. I came to a realization that when it comes to job security, you're no better off than the factory worker. And that's what these people out in DuPont are finding out now. The business people run everything, and they're only looking at the ledger. They're not thinking, first of all, not thinking about people. At least it doesn't seem like it anyway. And it's got to, well, yes, the company has to make money. But where would we be if we didn't have some of these people who brought a lot of these ideas in and we're enjoying today?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. In some ways I'm pessimistic, and otherwise I feel optimistic, but I guess maybe that's the way you get when you get old. Okay.
I think, yeah, as long as there's anything else you want to share that you thought was important about the company or the strike or Augustana.
Oh, the company. Well, I was sure at the time, well, I was 57 at the time that we were sold, and I just lost my job. And I found out that most places don't want to hire you after when you're too qualified. That's one of the answers. And I think there's a lot of people finding that out today even. We're not using the expertise and the knowledge of a lot of the people that have worked for many years and then get laid off. That's really a good source, and I think a lot of companies are losing because of that. Oh, what do I say? Was it the company and the history of it? Yeah, it was a good place to work, and a lot of good people. Oh yeah, well, this is another thing. The research director that we last year's they had, Bob McAllister. He was a very bright scientist, but he was very human. He could sit down and talk to just the technicians, you know, that did the work at the bench and didn't really understand what they were doing as well. But he could sit down and make them feel like they were well worth what they were doing, and they knew what they were doing. He didn't treat them like they were something below his status. But that was the one thing about him I liked. Yeah, okay, that's and Augie is a good school. Unfortunately, it costs too much. You know what cost me my first year? I think it was $100 a semester. And we got 20 off for being Lutheran.
Really?
And it didn't go up a whole lot even after in the first years I was there. But yeah, I got out there. I didn't owe any money. I worked part-time, but I had a lab job. Yeah, okay, forgot what I did now, yeah. Got part of it. But I feel sorry for these kids. Excuse me. What the cost you have facing you. There's something wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. Well, one thing I imagine is you got a lot more faculty, and they're paid a lot better than what they were when I went. I know that. Even though they don't get what's in industry. But, so something has to be done. I think they even got something in the mail not too long ago from the college on that. They don't know, they're having to look for alternatives, I think, to help in their funding. You know, see that last fellow, that Bob, what was his name? He went to school, I gave him $8 million here or something like a couple of years ago or so. Can't think of it. Bob. Oh, shoot. Anyway. I guess he needed more of that, but he was the head of John Deere for a while. He was the president of John Deere for a while. Yeah, the college has really changed. I lived in Andreen Hall. That's a women's dorm now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the women's were housed in that building on 7th Avenue there. Well, I guess it's an office now or something, huh?
Mm-hmm. Sorensen Hall.
So, is that one?
Mm-hmm.
That's where most all the women were, yeah. Those were the two main dormitories, yeah. Yeah, well, you got a good school. We support it to some extent, but okay, now what else?
I think that's everything.
That's it. Well, I gave you these three, and they were published different years, but you can have those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'd be really helpful.
That'll give you some of the history of the company and
That's great.
Thank you.
some of the
That's great.
yeah. What, I don't know if I have
We'll
anything.
clean out some of our stuff.
Yeah, I know. See here. I don't know what oh, that's the one. No, you don't want that. That's too much. Hey, where was it I had? Oh, there, yeah. I don't say it was just a bit of the history.